Shelby, a 26-year-old graphic designer struggling to establish himself after college, deals with increasingly hostile parents who belittle his career choice. The tension builds until one family dinner changes everything. His father's unexpected rent demand and mother's cutting remarks about teaching respect push him to make a life-altering decision that night. Viewers will witness how standing up for yourself can hurt initially, but lead to unexpected growth and success. Before I share what happened that night, where are you watching from? Hit that like and subscribe button. If you've ever had to stand up to family who did not believe in your dreams, I have always been the creative type. Growing up in our middle-class suburban home in Minnesota, I discovered my artistic talents early in elementary school. My third-grade teacher, Mrs. Harper, would showcase my drawings on the bulletin board, telling my parents they should nurture this gift. My father, Thomas, would nod politely during parent-teacher conferences, but later lecture me about focusing on practical skills instead. He had worked his way up in banking over 30 years and believed security came only through traditional careers. My mother, Diane, initially defended my artistic pursuits. She would secretly buy me sketchbooks and art supplies, hiding them from my father's disapproving eyes. "Just keep your grades up in the important subjects too," she would whisper, while watching me draw at the kitchen table. I cherished those moments when she stood between me and my father's pragmatic worldview. By high school, my passion had evolved toward graphic design. I spent hours in the computer lab learning Adobe programs, creating digital art that impressed even my tech-savvy teachers. My portfolio earned me a spot in several advanced art shows, and I began dreaming about building a career as a graphic designer. The digital revolution was happening, and I knew businesses would always need visual communication experts. When college application season arrived, the battle with my father intensified. He pushed brochures for business schools across the dinner table, while I researched art and design programs. "Artists starve Shelby," he would say, with that authoritative tone that brooked no argument. "No son of mine is going to waste 4 years learning to doodle on computers." Despite his objections, I applied to State University's design program and earned a partial scholarship. My mother mediated a tense compromise. I would attend state school, living on campus, but close enough to visit regularly. My father agreed to help with tuition, only if I took basic business classes alongside my design curriculum. It was not ideal, but it gave me the chance to pursue my passion. College brought freedom, but also financial struggles. The scholarship covered only part of my expenses, and I refused to ask my father for additional help, knowing it would come with lectures and conditions. I worked part-time at the campus print shop, took unpaid internships that built my portfolio, but emptied my wallet and ate more ramen than any human should consume. Despite these challenges, I thrived creatively. My professors recognized my talent and work ethic. I joined the graphic design club, collaborated on projects for local nonprofits, and built a modest portfolio. Senior year brought the satisfaction of graduating with honors, but also anxiety about job prospects. The recession had hit our region hard, and design jobs in my small hometown area were scarce. Moving back home was supposed to be temporary. "Just a few months," I told myself, as I unpacked my belongings in my childhood bedroom. My parents welcomed me with cautious optimism. "Take some time to find your footing," my mother said. My father added, "And maybe look into positions at the bank while you are figuring things out." I transformed half my bedroom into a workspace, setting up my desk computer and digital drawing tablet in the corner by the window. Each morning, I would wake early, apply for jobs online, and work on building a freelance portfolio. My routine was disciplined job applications in the morning, skill-building tutorials in the afternoon, and freelance work until late evening. The first small projects trickled in through connections from college professors and online platforms for freelancers. A local coffee shop needed a new menu design. A former classmate launching a dog-walking business wanted a logo. The pay was minimal, but each completed project added to my portfolio and built my confidence. 3 months after graduation, I landed my first consistent client, a small wellness clinic needing monthly social media graphics and occasional brochures. The pay was modest, but regular, allowing me to cover my student loan payments and personal expenses. To celebrate, I prepared a special dinner for my parents, hoping to show them my career choice could be viable. "This is from your computer doodling," my father asked. Examining the check, I proudly showed them. His tone was dismissive, reducing months of hard work to childish scribbling. My mother tried to mediate as usual. "Thomas Shelby is making progress." But I could tell she shared his doubts, her defense half-hearted at best. "It is graphic design." "Dad," I corrected, trying to keep frustration from my voice. "The clinic has already referred me to 2 other businesses." He shrugged, cutting into his steak. "Just do not expect to make a living wage from this hobby. Real jobs come with benefits and retirement plans." That dinner marked the beginning of 3 months of escalating tension. As summer turned to fall, my parents' attitude shifted from cautious support to outright skepticism and passive aggression. My father began making pointed comments about real jobs and adult responsibilities whenever I mentioned my design work. "When I was your age" became his favorite phrase, followed by stories of his rapid advancement at the bank. My mother, who once defended my choices, now joined him in comparing me to successful cousins who had chosen traditional careers. "Your cousin Patrick just got promoted at his accounting firm," she would say. "They are already talking about making him partner someday." Their comments grew more frequent and cutting. I overheard them arguing about me one evening when they thought I was working with headphones on. "He needs a reality check," my father insisted. "This design nonsense is just avoiding responsibility." My mother sighed in agreement. I thought he would have grown out of this phase by now. Their disapproval manifested in small sabotages too. They would complain about me sleeping late, despite knowing I often worked until 2 in the morning to accommodate client time zones. My father would interrupt important client calls with requests to help with yard work that could not wait. My mother would reorganize my carefully arranged workspace while cleaning, displacing important materials. Despite the increasingly hostile environment, I continued building my business. 5 regular clients now provided a steady income stream. I developed systems to handle my workload more efficiently, creating templates and process documents to streamline repetitive tasks. Each month, my skills improved, and my portfolio expanded. Anticipating eventual independence, I opened a separate bank account my parents knew nothing about. While I contributed to household expenses to avoid confrontation, I quietly saved a portion of each payment for my escape fund. During lunch breaks, I researched affordable apartments in the nearby city, calculating budgets and timeframes for moving out. I found unexpected support in an online community of fellow designers who understood the struggle of building a creative career. Weekly video chats with peers from my program provided encouragement when my parents' criticism threatened to overwhelm me. These connections reminded me I was not alone, that my path was legitimate, despite my family's dismissal. As autumn progressed, direct confrontations became more frequent. My father accidentally deleted files while borrowing my laptop, costing me hours of work and nearly missing a deadline. My mother complained about the mess of my organized workspace, moving things without permission and hiding supplies I needed urgently. Arguments about my contribution to the household intensified. Though I voluntarily paid for groceries and contributed to utilities, my parents acted as if I were taking advantage of their generosity. "We never asked to support a grown man," my father would say, ignoring the checks I had written for household expenses. Ungrateful became their favorite descriptor, despite my financial contributions and help around the house. The pattern of mockery about my career choice escalated daily. "Playing on that computer again," my mother would ask when I was designing complex website layouts. "Must be nice to just sit around all day," my father would comment, while I struggled with difficult client revisions. The psychological toll of living in this toxic environment began affecting my work. Anxiety made my hands shake during detailed illustration tasks. Client calls became stressful as I worried about parental interruptions or overheard criticisms. My confidence eroded under the constant belittlement, making me second-guess design choices I would have made easily months before. To escape the tension, I began spending more time at local cafes, despite the financial cost. One particular coffee shop, Woodland Brews, became my sanctuary. The owner, Jackson, a 40-something former corporate worker who had opened the cafe as a second career, noticed my situation and often offered encouragement. Parents rarely understand creative careers, he told me, one slow afternoon sliding a free refill across the table. Mine thought opening this place was a midlife crisis. Now they brag about their entrepreneurial son to their friends. Jackson's support kept me going, when exhaustion tempted me to abandon my design dreams. During my darkest moments, when applying for bank positions seemed the easier path, I would remember his journey from corporate dissatisfaction to passionate small business owner. The situation reached a breaking point in early winter. After months of consistent work, I landed my biggest client, yet a small tech startup, needing a complete brand identity package and ongoing design support. The contract would double my monthly income and potentially lead to industry recognition. I planned to use this financial security to announce my move-out date and finally claim my independence. But the universe had other plans. My father lost important mail from the client containing contract details. My mother made cutting remarks about me playing on computer all day during an important virtual meeting with the startup's founders. Most painfully, I overheard them referring to me as dead weight during a phone conversation with relatives unaware I had come home early. That same week, I secretly met with a realtor about an apartment in the city and finalized an agreement with a former classmate, Marcus, to share expenses. The pieces for my escape were falling into place, though I planned to wait until the startup contract was signed before making my move. Then came the dinner that changed everything. It started like any other weeknight meal. My mother had prepared her standard meatloaf and potatoes. My father nursed his usual glass of whiskey. The television murmured in the background some political pundit debating tax policies. I was mentally reviewing a project timeline while pushing food around my plate when my father cleared his throat. "Your mother and I have been talking." He began setting down his fork with deliberate precision. "Starting next month, if you want to continue living here, you will need to pay rent." The amount he named, $800 monthly, was significantly higher than market rate for local apartments, clearly designed to be punitive rather than fair. Before I could respond, my mother added with a tight smile, "Maybe it will teach you some respect and appreciation for the real world." The shock must have shown on my face because my father's expression turned smug, clearly believing he had delivered a decisive blow to my independence. My mother launched into a self-righteous lecture about how things work in the real world and learning responsibility, as if I had been freeloading rather than building a business while contributing to household expenses. As they continued their coordinated attack, years of dismissed achievements and belittled efforts flashed through my mind. This was not about rent or respect. It was an ultimatum to conform to their vision or face financial punishment. The message was clear: abandon your path or pay an excessive price for our reluctant tolerance. I sat silently nodding, occasionally revealing nothing of my inner turmoil. "I understand," was all I said before excusing myself to think about it. Their satisfied expressions showed they believed they had won that financial reality would finally force me to abandon my hobby and embrace their definition of success. Back in my room, I assessed my situation with unexpected clarity. The startup contract would cover apartment expenses if I were careful. My savings could handle the security deposit and moving costs. Most importantly, my mental health could not withstand another month in this environment. I texted Marcus about accelerating our timeline. "Can we move next week instead of next month?" His response came quickly. "My lease is up Friday. I can get keys Saturday." "You good?" While my parents watched their evening shows downstairs, I silently packed 2 suitcases with essentials, clothes, toiletries, important documents, and my computer equipment. I left behind furniture and childhood mementos, taking only what I needed for a fresh start. On a sheet of notebook paper, I wrote a brief note explaining my departure. No accusations or emotional language, just facts: I have moved out. I will collect my remaining belongings within 2 weeks. Thank you for your hospitality. At midnight, while my parents slept, I carried my suitcases to my car and drove to Jackson's apartment above the cafe. He had offered his couch when I mentioned potentially needing temporary housing, and now I gratefully accepted his generosity while finalizing arrangements with Marcus. For the first few days I expected angry calls or texts, but my phone remained surprisingly silent. Later I learned my parents assumed I was teaching them a lesson by staying with a friend but would return once my statement was made. They had not bothered to check my room, believing the packed suitcases were a bluff. Those first days of independence were a chaotic blend of fear and liberation. I worked extra shifts at Jackson's Cafe to cover the apartment deposit while handling client projects from a makeshift desk in the storeroom. Marcus helped secure basic furniture from thrift stores and online marketplaces, transforming our empty apartment into a functional living space. The most surprising discovery was how my productivity soared in my new stress-free environment. Without the constant undermining and interruptions, I completed projects in half the time. Client calls became enjoyable again, rather than anxiety-inducing experiences. I even started sleeping better, free from the tension that had permeated my childhood home. 1 week after my departure, reality finally hit my parents. My mother's frantic voicemail came first. "Shelby, why is your room empty? Where are you? Call us immediately." My father's messages followed, escalating from demanding to threatening. "This is childish and irresponsible. Come home now, or there will be consequences." Following Marcus's advice about establishing healthy boundaries, I waited 24 hours before responding. My carefully crafted text acknowledged their messages without apologizing. "I have moved into an apartment with a roommate. I am safe and continuing my work. I will arrange to collect my remaining belongings soon." Their response was immediate and overwhelming. Calls, texts, even an unexpected visit to Woodland Brews, where they confronted Jackson, who protected my privacy with admirable loyalty. Sorry, folks. I cannot discuss other adults' living arrangements without their permission. After 3 days of digital bombardment, I agreed to meet them at a neutral location, the park near my old high school. I arrived early, choosing a public bench where we would be visible to others, a strategic decision to prevent emotional escalation. They arrived together, my father's face flushed with anger, my mother's eyes red from crying. The confrontation began predictably: guilt tactics, manipulation, and threats about my future. "After everything we have done for you," my mother sobbed, clutching her purse like a shield. "How could you just disappear without a word?" "I left a note," I replied calmly. "And I have been supporting myself for months while living there." My father scoffed. "Playing on computers is not supporting yourself. We gave you a roof over your head when no one would hire you for a real job." For the first time, I did not back down or attempt to placate him. Instead, I presented evidence of their undermining behavior: screenshots of text messages, documentation of my financial contributions, recordings of their deadweight comments, captured accidentally when my design software was recording audio for a project. "This is why I left." I explained, my voice steady, despite my racing heart. Not because of the rent demand, but because of the constant disrespect and sabotage of my career. Their reactions diverged in revealing ways. My father grew increasingly angry, his face reddening, as he realized his authority was being challenged successfully. My mother, however, fell silent, a flicker of recognition crossing her face as she heard their words played back. "We only wanted what was best for you," she said weakly. "No," I corrected gently. "You wanted what was easiest for you to understand. There is a difference." I outlined clear boundaries for our future relationship. No surprise visits to my workplace or apartment communication. By text only until trust could be rebuilt, and respect for my career choice as a non-negotiable condition for continued contact. When my father began another tirade about ungrateful children, I simply stood, thanked them for meeting me, and walked away. It was the first time in my life I had ended a conversation with my parents on my terms, and the empowerment I felt overshadowed the lingering sadness. The weeks that followed brought unexpected professional growth. The tech startup, impressed with my initial designs, offered me a part-time position with benefits, while allowing me to maintain my other clients. My portfolio gained attention in the local design community, leading to a small feature in a regional business publication, highlighting emerging creative professionals. Former classmates reached out for collaboration opportunities, expanding my network and client base. Marcus, whose background in business administration complemented my creative skills, helped me establish proper business structures and accounting systems. Within 3 months, we had rented a small corner in a downtown co-working space, giving my growing design studio a professional address. 6 months after leaving home, financial stability was no longer a distant goal but my daily reality. My income now exceeded what many entry-level corporate positions offered, with the added benefits of creative fulfillment and work-life balance. The freedom to choose projects aligned with my values and interests brought a satisfaction my father's bank career had never seemed to provide him. Meanwhile, reality was gradually catching up with my parents. My father spotted my design work on a billboard for a local business and mentioned it to a mutual family friend. My mother began following my business social media account from an anonymous profile, watching my success from a digital distance. Extended family members who had seen my work praised it at gatherings, forcing my parents to confront the legitimacy of my chosen path. 3 months after our park confrontation, the first tentative text from my mother appeared. "Saw your logo design for the new restaurant downtown. It looks very professional." No apology or acknowledgement of past behavior, but a small recognition of my abilities. My father's grudging acknowledgement came indirectly through comments to my uncle about young people finding new ways to succeed these days. It was as close to approval as his pride would allow, and I accepted it as the beginning of a potential thaw. After 6 months of limited contact, I invited them to dinner at my apartment. The invitation was specific. This was not a reconciliation, but an opportunity for them to see my life and work firsthand, with the implicit understanding that respect for my choices was required for the relationship to progress. They arrived punctually, my father awkwardly complimenting the nice place while scanning for signs of financial struggle he could comment on. My mother brought a housewarming plant, a peace offering that acknowledged the permanence of my move. I showed them my portfolio client testimonials and recent projects without seeking approval or validation. The presentation was professional rather than defensive, the confident showcase of a successful business owner rather than a child seeking parental permission. The shift in their perception was visible throughout the evening. My father asked surprisingly thoughtful questions about my business model. My mother remarked on the sophistication of designs she had previously dismissed as doodles. Neither apologized explicitly for their behavior, but their engagement with my work represented a significant evolution from dismissal to interest. As they prepared to leave, I established clear expectations. Our relationship would continue only with mutual respect. They were welcome in my life as supportive parents, not as critics or saboteurs. The boundaries were non-negotiable, and my independence was permanent, regardless of their acceptance. The following year brought continued professional growth and personal healing. The unexpected gift of forced independence had accelerated my career trajectory far beyond what would have been possible in my parents' home. Mental health improvements through autonomy translated into creative confidence, enhancing my design work and client relationships. My chosen family expanded as well. Jackson became a valuable business mentor and friend. Marcus and I launched collaborative ventures combining his business acumen and my design expertise. Former clients became collaborators and referral sources. This supportive network provided the encouragement and feedback my biological family had withheld, creating a foundation for both professional and personal growth. The deepest lessons emerged gradually. I learned that respect must be mutual, even in family relationships, and that toxic patterns should be addressed early rather than endured. The value of proving oneself through actions, rather than arguments, became clear as my portfolio spoke more convincingly than any defense I could have offered my parents. Most importantly, I discovered how leaving my comfort zone, though initially terrifying, had accelerated personal growth in ways that security never could have. Standing firm against manipulation had built resilience that served me in client negotiations and business challenges. The painful push out of the nest had forced me to fly rather than merely survive. 1 year after that fateful dinner, I received a nomination for a regional design award, recognizing emerging talent. The ceremony coincided with the anniversary of my departure, a poetic symmetry. I appreciated as I sent my parents an invitation without expectation. To my surprise, they attended voluntarily, arriving early and sitting proudly in the front section. When my name was called for the award, my father's applause was among the loudest. After the ceremony, he approached with an extended hand and unfamiliar humility. "I was wrong about your career," he admitted, the closest to an apology his personality would allow. "What you have built here is impressive." My mother, more emotionally expressive, embraced me with tears. "We should have supported you from the beginning," she whispered. "Can you forgive us?" I accepted their acknowledgments graciously, without resentment, but also without forgetting the lessons of the past year. Our relationship had transformed not through dramatic confrontations or emotional pleas, but through respect earned and boundaries maintained. Looking back at my journey from belittled dead weight to award-winning professional, I realize sometimes the most painful moments truly do lead to the greatest growth. Standing up for yourself hurts initially, losing security, confronting loved ones, stepping into uncertainty. But the alternative is surrendering your potential to others' limited vision. Have you ever had to stand up to family who did not believe in your path? Did it ultimately lead to personal growth or professional success? Share your experience in the comments below. Do not forget to like this video if it resonated with you, and subscribe for more real-life stories about finding your way despite obstacles. Remember, sometimes the people who should support you the most are the ones who understand you the least. But that does not mean you cannot succeed without their approval. Thanks for watching, and may you find the courage to follow your own path, even when it means walking alone for a while.